Hey everyone, welcome to our channel. In today's video, we'll learn the 5 best ways to set up Trello as a to-do list full tutorial. So if you're struggling to keep track of all your tasks, looking for a to-do list solution that actually works, so this video will show you the 5 powerful ways to set up a custom to-do list in Trello. So we'll start simple and build up what I call the ultimate to-do list for Trello. So, we're going to be helping you get more done with less stress. So, let's dive into the first step, and that is the default Trello to do list. So, when you open a new Trello board, you typically see three lists: the to do, doing, and done. So, these setup will allow you to manage tasks, Kanban style, dragging them through each stage until they're complete. So, for you to be able to do that, just head on to your Trello.com. So, as you can see, we are currently logged in already. And then right after, you'll just need to choose in a workspace. So I'm currently onto my Trello workspace. You could choose the workspace here onto the upper part. And right after, choose in a board. So we're going to go ahead and choose in a board in here. So we could click onto master board and you'll get redirected here onto something like this. So for us to be able to do a default Trello to-do list, so we're going to go ahead and create the basic Trello board with a to-do, doing, and done list. Now to add in a list, there is an add a list button in here. Click onto that and we'll start with to-do. Just click onto enter and it will go ahead and ask you to do another list, which is doing. Click onto enter and there should be an option to add another list and add in done. So click onto add list and it should go ahead and look something like this right after. So as you can see, we have created already the different lists in here. To go ahead and add in some tasks under this list, you'll just need to go ahead and add a card. So let's add a card here. Let's name this task number 1. Once this task is already ongoing, or you're already doing this specific task, there should be an option for you to go ahead and move this across the board. So let's try to rename this first. Now to move this task all over the board. If you're currently doing this already, you could move this to done. Just hold this and drag this and drop it under doing. And then you could also drag this to done once you have finished this task. This will go ahead and track the progress of each task. So if you click onto a card as well, you could use due dates to go ahead and stay on track. So we have dates in here and you could add in a due date when this specific task is due. Just choosing a date in here, for example, 27, add in its time and set this due date as a reminder 5 minutes before 10 on hour or a day before and click on to save. So if you've noticed as well, you could add in some description. You could watch this, add in, or you could see the activities in here, write in some comments, and reply to each comments in here. And that is for trick number 1, which is to do the default Trello to-do list. Now for a second trick in here, or trick number 2, it's all about grouping tasks with labels. For those familiar with the Getting Things Done methodology, also known as GTD, you know how useful it is to group similar tasks together. So let's add this task back again here on to do, and let's add more cards. So for example, I have 4 cards. So let's add this up until task number 4. Task number 3. So let's rename this other one first as well. And it should go ahead and look something like this. Now, we're going to go ahead and try to group similar tasks together. Now, we're going to add a label onto each task in here to go ahead and add in a group for that. So for example, to add in a label, you're just going to select the card. So we'll start with task 1. So here onto the right side, there should be labels. Click onto that, and if you've noticed, there are labels in here. We have label 1, label 2, and label 3 with its colors. So you could create a new one if you want to do so, or you could just edit this specific label in here. So if you have a lot of labels created already, you could search them on here onto the search bar. So we're gonna go ahead and edit the first label in here. So we're gonna go ahead and try to add this one as important. Then you could choose a color for that, like red. Right after, just click on save. We have another one in here as well. It's gonna edit this one. We're gonna add this to do or something like that. Click onto yellow and it should go ahead and look something like this. Now, We forgot to save it. Let's get back again. Color yellow and click on to save. Now, this specific one or task one is important. We're going to label this important. Now, if you head back, it should go ahead and look something like this. So we're going to do the same thing for other tasks in here. So this one, we're going to label it differently like to do. The other one as well, we're going to label this to do. And then for the last one, we're going to label this for task 4 as important. So as you can see, you should be able to see a color onto the upper part of the name of the task so that it should go ahead and see its different groupings. Now, if you've noticed, you could now go ahead and focus on task with the same label to increase productivity. So you could make use onto this one. You could start with the one with the red label already since that one is important. So this will allow you to batch similar tasks and get them done more efficiently. Now, going to trick number 3, which is all about using subtask with checklist. Sometimes a task is more complex and require multiple steps. So that is where the checklist comes in handy. So for us to be able to do a checklist, so we're gonna make use onto one card in here. So for example, task number 2. So this is already a task in here. If you want to add more specific task inside each task in here, that is when we're gonna go ahead and add in a subtask. So there are checklists here onto the card option. So we're gonna click onto checklist, and as you can see, you could add in a title for that. Click onto add. Right after, you're gonna go ahead and name this subtask 1, subtask 2, and subtask 3. Now, as you can see, you could mark each of the subtasks as complete once it is done, and there should be a progress bar for you to see in here or in front of it to see the progress of the subtask that you have onto each card. So you could also add in some members for that or add in some due dates. And if you want to convert this to a card, there is an option to do so, and you could also delete this. So just make sure to finish all the subtasks in here so that once it is done, you could also see that current progress of the subtask here outside. So 3/3 of the checklist has been done, and once it is done, you could go ahead and drag the specific card onto the done list. So just what I've mentioned earlier, if a subtask becomes too complex, you could convert it into a separate card by selecting convert to card. So we're gonna click onto that. So let's try that one out. For example, this one, click onto the 3 dots and convert this to a card. So you should be able to see that one over here. So it has been removed here onto the checklist, and it has created a new card. So Trello will show you a progress bar in front of the card to make it easy for you to track your progress. Now going to trick number 4, which is all about creating a projects list. To keep track of your bigger goals, it is useful to have a dedicated project list. So this is how you should do this. We're going to go ahead and start by creating a new list that is called projects on the left side of your board. So we're going to go ahead and add another list here, name it project, and add this list just like that. Right after you have created the projects in here, we're going to go ahead and drag this here. So you could arrange the sequence of the list that you have onto your report. So we're going to add it in here since this one is kind of important, since we're going to go ahead and sort out each task in here depending on its project. So we're going to add some cards here onto each list. We're going to name this project 1 and project 2. So we're going to go ahead and add in each cards or related cards inside each projects in here. So for example, the important one, which is task 1 and task 4 is for project 1. Then we're going to go ahead and click in here onto project 1, and we're going to attach this related task in here. Now to do so, we're going to go ahead and click onto attachment in here, and there you should be able to see in here the Trello. So we have task 2, task 4, task 3, and task 1. We're going to click task 1. And as you can see, we'll attach in here the card, which is task 1. So let's attach the other one as well. Click on attachment again and click onto task number 4. So it should go ahead and look something like this. So if you want to attach some links, you'll just have to paste it in here if that is relevant to your project. So you could add in more description as well for your project. And if you go ahead and click onto each card in here onto the attachment, it will gonna go ahead and redirect you onto that specific card. So we're going to do the same thing for the other two in here, which is task 3 and task 2. Click onto project 2, click onto attachment, and let's add them here. Let's add the other one again. And they should go ahead and look something like this. You could now easily switch between projects and their tasks, and this will help you ensure that your daily tasks align with your long-term goals. So this is very helpful so that if you have a lot of lists already, it would be easier for you to keep track on each card onto each projects. Now, lastly, for trick number 5, this one is all about adding notes or ideas and waiting for a list. So Trello can also be a great tool for note taking and idea management. So we're gonna go ahead and create 2 new lists for this one. So we're gonna head here onto the right side, add another list, and we'll name the first one, which is for notes, or you could name this ideas. So this is before you created a project, so you need to have ideas for that. And we're gonna move this here onto the right side. Before the projects. Right after, we're gonna go ahead and create a waiting for list. So we're gonna add that one here between done and between doing or done. So we're going to start with ideas in here. So this is where you could list your ideas, documentations, and information for each project. So before you start, you could add that one in here, like idea number 1 or idea number 2 or any some sort of like that. So you're just going to go ahead and try to drag and drop the different ideas in here. Also for the other one that we have created, which is the waiting for. So onto that list, that is for waiting on external input or action. For example, you're doing task 1 already, you have added that on doing. And once you're done doing this, but you cannot say that is specifically done, or you're asking your manager to review it first. So you could put this one first on waiting so that once the manager or your supervisor is done already reviewing that, they could go ahead and move that specific task or card onto done. So you could move task back to doing or done once the waiting condition is resolved. So this additional list that we have added will help to keep your board organized and ensure that nothing falls through the cracks. And there you have it, 5 powerful ways to set up Trello as a to-do list from the basic default setup to a fully customized ultimate to-do list. And if you found this tutorial helpful, then don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you on to our next video.